All right. Welcome everyone to Technology Data and Analytics Job Search Strategies. My name is Lori Brazili. I am one of our Technology Data and Analytics career coaches at the Career Center, and I am excited to share some insight on job search strategy for those of you that are currently looking for internships and full-time jobs in tech data and analytics. So we have about 40 minutes or so today to go over some content. And then at the end, I will pause and allow for some Q&A. So if you have questions, if you can kind of hold those till we can get through the content, that will be helpful. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and get right into it. So for those of you that are participating in the Niner Career Challenge, you will get participation points if you're part of that. If you're not sure what the Niner Career Challenge is, then you can scan that QR code on the screen or go to our website, ninercareerchallenge.charlotte.edu. But essentially, this is our kind of career readiness platform that we use to help students engage with all the wonderful things that we're doing in our office. And so you can earn points by attending different services and events like the meetup today. And so we will be giving away, I believe it's 5 spring 2025 tuition awards at the end of the semester for folks that are participating in this challenge. And so it's open to all students. If you have questions, go to that website with the QR code. It'll give you all of the details. And then you do have to sign up in order to participate in the challenge. So when we're talking about job search strategies for tech data and analytics, we are going to focus on a couple of career skills today. So the career skills that are on the screen, these are the 8 skills that employers across all industries and sectors are looking for from candidates, no matter what they study in college. And so you can see the 8 here. This is information that we receive annually from the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And so they always survey employers to see what are the top career skills that they're looking for. And the ones that we're going to focus on today are going to be career and self-development and communication as we discuss strategizing for your job search or internship search. A lot of that is going to involve knowing yourself and communicating your personal brand to the employer as you go throughout your search. So I want to start with some quick technical resume tips. This is going to be one of the very first things that you're going to need to have ready to go as you start applying for internships and jobs. So you want to have something that's very well organized and easy to read. We recommend a document that is somewhere between 1 to 2 pages. Say if you're an alum that has some work experience or a graduate student with some significant experience, 2 pages may make sense. For everybody that is more kind of an early career undergraduate student, a 1-page resume is likely what we would recommend. And then somewhere between 10 to 12 point size font with 1/2 inch to 1 inch margins. You want to make sure that you're organizing your details within each section in reverse chronological order, making sure that consistency is key in terms of any sort of style that you're using within the document. And then make sure that you include a technical skills section that highlights the technical skills and tools that you've been using in your experience, as well as a project section for personal projects or course projects that you may have worked on throughout your degree program or outside of class. And then as you're describing all of your experiences, ideally you want to do that using bullet points that start with a power verb and that demonstrates some sort of impact based on what you did in that experience. And so we can certainly answer some questions about that if you have those. And then ultimately, really, really important that you're proofreading all the different versions of your resume that you might be putting together as you're applying for those specific jobs and internships. And so if you need assistance with that, you can obviously bring your resume to career coaching drop-ins that we have Monday through Friday from 10 to 3. So in terms of preparing for the search, these are a few things that we want to highlight. It's very important when you are embarking on a job search, whether that's for an internship or a full-time job, that you know who you are first. So you're going to need to spend some time doing some self-reflection on what it is that you're looking for. So what type of industry are you interested in? Are there certain types of companies that you're trying to target? What are your values? What are things that you're looking for or that you require in a company and in a job role? And then also thinking through like, what are your career goals? So what is it that you're trying to accomplish after you leave Charlotte? And how do these particular opportunities kind of help you with getting your way towards that career goal? And then figuring out, what is it that you would like to do, and how can that be incorporated into a possible internship opportunity or a full-time job? And sometimes even knowing what you don't like. Sometimes knowing those things is just as important as you're trying to make a decision. So you do want to have some time and spend some time figuring out, who you are, what you're looking for, what your goals are, and what direction that you want to go. You don't have to have all of the answers, but you need to have some sort of kind of a roadmap to where you want to go. So that's very important. The other thing that you need to do is you need to take some time to understand the job market, to understand the industry that you might be pursuing. So a good way to do that is to look at job shadowing opportunities or look at ways to connect with individuals to learn more about different companies and different industries so that you can have those career conversations. Look for ways that you can connect with alumni. And so that's what we do in our office in the Career Center. A lot of colleges and departments across campus also offer those engagement opportunities for students and alumni to connect with one another in a way that on the job seeker side that you can kind of get to know different companies, you can kind of understand what it's like to work within those organizations, and you can understand what those opportunities look like. So talking to people is really, really important. Of course, there are lots of tools that you can use to do company research, and that's one of the things that we can help connect you to through career coaching. And then LinkedIn is a great way to understand the market. I use LinkedIn every day. Just as a career coach, I follow a lot of people that are in the tech industry that are providing daily insights. I follow a lot of recruiters that recruit in tech, so I can kind of better understand what that looks like from kind of a job seeker perspective. And so I learn a lot in that regard, and I would encourage you to do the same. LinkedIn is such a great tool to be able to do that industry research and to understand what the market actually looks like. So once you've done that, thinking about cultivating your personal brand and how you market yourself. So that's really, really important. So your brand is going to include things like your resume, your LinkedIn profile, maybe your GitHub, it's maybe your online portfolio or website if you have something like that. And so think about what message are you trying to send in terms of how you kind of identify yourself as a career professional in the tech and data space. But it's also important for you to brand yourself in those experiences or opportunities where you're just even having a conversation with somebody, whether it's at an event or maybe something more formal like an interview. And so what are your personal strengths? What are the things that you're going to bring to the opportunity, whether that is a full-time role or an internship? And I would say if you're not really sure how to answer that question, then you really need to sit with that for a little bit. And sometimes just asking the people that are close to you, like family and friends that know you really well, can be a good starting point on that. Meeting with a career coach can also kind of help you with realizing what some of your strengths are and what you have to offer. And essentially thinking about how you're going to sell yourself when you're meeting people. What does that kind of elevator pitch look like? And so these are things that we can definitely help you with in career coaching, but it's also really important that you're thinking through these things as you're going about your job search. Oops. So typical summer internship recruitment cycle for tech and data. Did want to just have a slide. I'm sure many of you are looking for summer internships, and the recruitment cycle for internships and even full-time jobs where companies are bringing in large recruitment classes of folks to start in like rotational programs or analyst roles or whatever the case may be. A lot of that cycle kind of peak is going on right now in the fall, prior to when you would actually start a role. But understand that companies recruit all year round and that their recruitment strategy is always changing. So things are always going to be dynamic and things don't ever stay the same. And that's why it's important to understand the industry and the market and to do your research. And so like I said, this is kind of the peak recruiting time. A lot of companies have their internships posted. Some of them have already closed out their applications for summer. And so they might be starting to engage in that interview season. And ideally, after this fall semester, then they would have those offers kind of in hand to start in summer. But again, companies all have different varying timelines. We definitely see a lot of companies that are still recruiting for tech and data internships in the spring as well. So I've talked a little bit just about the importance of connecting with people as you're trying to do your research about the industry and figure out what opportunities are out there. And networking is really important just throughout life, but especially within kind of the context of doing a job search. And by networking, I really just mean connecting with somebody. It doesn't mean that you need to be going to all of these different networking events. Certainly you can do that, but just making connections with people. So there is a lot of research that shows that when people kind of leverage like their social capital, and by that I mean their network, the people that they know or that they have the opportunity to know through experiences that are presented to them, then the studies have shown that people end up having a shorter job search period. And there are a lot of times where companies and organizations, they fill their roles before they even get started or before they even get posted to something like their company website. So a lot of times jobs are filled through what we call this kind of like hidden job market. And so that's what the statistic of 80% of jobs are found through networking. That actually rings really true. So it is important to try to leverage connecting with people in that face-to-face environment, whether that is virtual or in person. So some things to think about is obviously have a clear goal in mind when you're meeting people. Make sure that you're telling people like who you are and kind of what you're currently doing. So tell everyone about your job search. When, if you are catching up with family or friends that you haven't talked about in a while, you haven't talked with in a while, tell them kind of what you're up to, what you're interested in. You never know by having just like a simple conversation with somebody what might happen as a result of that. Understand like what you can offer to the individual or the organization that you might be talking to. So be sincere in what that value offer is. And then as you're meeting people, make sure that you're following up and kind of continuing that conversation. So if you, let's say, go to a CCI meetup, and you connect with an organization. Maybe they gave you some resume tips or whatever it was. Before you leave that conversation, make sure that you understand, like, hey, can I follow up with you? Can we connect on LinkedIn? I would love to learn more about opportunities that might be a good fit for me at your organization. So making sure that you are following up, that you are thanking people for giving you time in their schedule, and then figuring out how you can kind of continue that conversation. And then one of the really cool things that LinkedIn offers is a chance to connect with Charlotte alumni that are working in various roles and in maybe come at companies that you might be interested in pursuing. And so there's a really cool alumni search tool. And that's what this kind of screenshot here is on the right-hand side. If you go to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte's page on LinkedIn and go to the alumni portion, then there's a database that you can search. So if I am, looking for full-time opportunities in software engineering, and I'm trying to understand, like, what are some of the companies that hire software engineers from Charlotte, then I can search that through this tool, and then I will be able to see all the different profiles that come up. And so a lot of that information I can use to kind of create a target list. To do additional research and maybe to uncover additional opportunities, and then even to take it a step further and try to actually have a career conversation with an alum that works at that organization. Excuse me. So again, connecting with people is key. One kind of way to framework to think about that is the 60-30-10 rule. So if you think about, if you're putting towards your job search or your internship search 10 hours a week, then ideally 60% of that time, which would be 6 hours, would be spent in face-to-face interactions. And that can look like a lot of different things. It could be going to an event. It could be going to a career fair. It could be having, dinner with family and friends and just having that conversation. So any kind of activity where you're actually spending face-to-face time with people can kind of count towards, that 60% of your job search energy. And then 30% would be spent on activities like researching organizations, researching people that you can connect to, applying to those jobs. So that kind of activity. And then the last 10% would be spent updating your branding material. So that would be your resume or your LinkedIn or a cover letter, whatever is kind of part of your personal branding. You would only need to spend about 1 hour each week updating those materials. And so below are some places where you can connect. Obviously, you have College of Computing and Informatics, and also the School of Data Science. They have events and their own activities that they facilitate to help connect students to those opportunities. If anybody is maybe on the business side in the Belt College, they also have a student professional development staff that offers a lot of those experience as well. We work with campus departments to sponsor career fairs, career treks, meetups like this one, but that may be led by an industry partner or an employer, are a great way to connect in more of a kind of virtual environment that might be smaller than attending a career fair. For example, you can attend employer information sessions and other recruiting events. All of those things are located on our website if you want to see what is up and coming. And then participating in industry-related events. So some of you may have access to conferences, or you might learn about hackathons that are being sponsored by like your student club or organization, or by a company that's wanting to kind of work with Charlotte students on something like that. Any sort of like research symposium, those are great ways to meet people and to connect. So obviously Hire a Niner is our main job posting platform. So that's where you're going to find things like full-time jobs, internships, on-campus employment, off-campus employment. And that's also where you would find on-campus interviewing information. If you are applying to a role and the employer decides that they want to do on-campus interviewing, then there is a section for that information on Hire a Niner as well. And you can also see upcoming events. So specific tech data and analytics resources. So we do recommend like maybe checking out some tech job search engines. You have things like Dice and Crunchboard as an example. If you're an international student and you are trying to connect with international student specific resources, we work with Going Global, which is a resource that we use in the office. You also have stuff like myvisajobs.com, and there is a H-1B Google Chrome extension that you can download that will work with LinkedIn, Indeed, and Glassdoor. So that QR code is going to get you to our tech data and analytics career community website that offers a lot more in-depth resources in terms of job and internship sites, upcoming events, resources for international students specifically. So make sure that you're scanning that QR code and checking out that website. Okay, so I know we've talked a little bit about LinkedIn. And so what I will just say with using LinkedIn is that it's definitely a resource that I would be leveraging in your job search. I would say the population that's most active on LinkedIn is going to be the people that are job searching. So people like you that might be looking for internships and full-time roles. Most recruiters are using LinkedIn to not only source candidates, but vet candidates. So keyword optimization on LinkedIn is really important. You can think of your LinkedIn profile as like a digital copy of your resume, but it goes even deeper. And so it really allows a user to kind of get to know you. There's an About Me section that you can kind of use as like a little elevator pitch or an introduction. And it also helps humanize your profile in a way. And so this is going to be a great way for you to help brand yourself, help possibly generate employment opportunities, get recruiters to reach out to you. It's a way for you to research companies, connect with people, engage with their content. And then if you're interested in starting to post your own content, it can be a great way to kind of, have a voice for yourself in the industry. So it's a great way to promote the sharing of knowledge and ideas around specific topics. So other tips for your job search, volunteering can be a great way to network as well and get personal referrals. So it doesn't matter what type of volunteer organization, it can be anything. So if there's a cause that's near and dear to you and you want to, volunteer in some sort of capacity, that can be a great way to meet people. Professional associations can also be great. So I know, like, for example, on campus, we have the Association of Computing Machinery and then the Association for Women as well, or Girls Who Code. These are kind of, professional associations, but like Charlotte chapters. And so that can be a great way to potentially connect with employers as well. Because when employers contact us, sometimes they're like, oh, I want to connect with your Girls Who Code uh, club or something along those lines. So we can kind of, bridge that gap and make those connections. Of course, if you are looking for full-time jobs, internships and co-ops and service learning are going to be kind of the biggest way to offer internal promotion opportunities and good references, because that internship or co-op kind of acts as the little working interview. And just connecting with professors, with your coworkers, with peers and friends. Again, tell everybody that you're seeking employment, and you never know what information they have to share that could help you. And then getting involved with student organizations or, attending events on campus. So for example, the International Festival is coming up this weekend, and there's going to be a lot of people there. That can be a really great way to connect with people, not only that are from campus, but that are from the community, because it is such a big event. But again, any sort of student organization, whether it's related to computer science or data science or analytics, whatever your interests are, even if it's outside of kind of your academic interests, those organizations can be a great way to connect with people. So some common mistakes that we see, giving up or not applying to enough places. So my recommendation is, and I understand that the search can be it can be overwhelming and it can be intense, but you never want to stop searching until you have accepted that employment offer and you have that in writing. So try not giving up as much as you can. Try to keep yourself motivated. And maybe that means you need to take time every week to set some goals. You need to take time to practice self-care so that you're taking a break mentally because you're going to have a lot going on, not only with your academics and anything else that you have might outside of that, like maybe you work part-time or maybe you work full-time. And so it can be kind of intense. So trying to figure out ways to stay motivated is important. And so where we see people fall off is when they just kind of stop because they're not motivated or something happened and they kind of lost track and then it was hard to kind of get back on. Trying to maintain a positive attitude as much as you can. You kind of like, the energy that you put out in the universe, sometimes, it's kind of like the law of attraction. What you put out is what you're going to receive back. And so just kind of thinking about what is your mindset and what is the energy that you're putting out there. And so you always want to try to see the silver lining as much as you can. I know that's like very, very ideal thinking, but again, having a positive mindset can certainly help you in this process. Making sure that you are proofreading things. I already mentioned this before, but there's so much competition for internships and for full-time jobs that recruiters are just looking for, easy way out to like, kind of say, okay, we're not going to consider this person. So if you have your personal branding materials and there's a lot of mistakes and errors on that, that's really not a good look for you, but that's also a really easy way for a recruiter to say, I think we're going to kind of see what else is out there. Making sure that you're practicing interviews. Okay. So a lot of times, you have to think about getting to that interview stage and then you don't think about the actual interview. So making sure that you're practicing interview is important. So we offer a lot of ways to do that. Most notably practice interviews with career coaches, but just even for an internship, if you're not used to talking about, let's say, computer science fundamentals, then you're going to want to kind of brush up on that because they're going to ask you, questions about yourself. They're going to ask you to talk about previous experiences you've had. And if you haven't kind of thought about that or haven't had practice articulating that, then it's going to be tough for you to move through that interview stage. So make sure that you're practicing interviewing. And then again, thinking through like all of the different options that you might be interested in. So having, kind of a plan or a roadmap is important. Having an idea about what you're looking for is great, but then also you want to keep that flexible because things are going to happen, things are going to change. Sometimes things happen that are outside of our control. You may need to pivot. So try not to limit yourself too much, especially for that internship and that first job out of college. So here are some ideas if you can't secure a desired role. The first thing that you can look at would be our UPIP program, which is our University Professional Internship Program. This is for undergraduate students only, but this is an on-campus internship that's focused on developing skills, and we partner with different campus departments on that. You can also look at short-term experiences like micro internships or micro research. We have resources for that on our website. We have vendors that we work with to connect students to more smaller bite-size skill building experiences. You may also look at considering any part-time work to gain work experience and skills. So that could be on campus or off campus. An on-campus job could be a great opportunity, or maybe a part-time job off campus doing something tech related or data related can also be a great way to build a resume capital. And then if you are aware of like maybe programming languages or different skills where there might be a little bit of a gap, if you have bandwidth to either work on a personal project or teach yourself something. When you have downtime, you can look at resources like Coursera or Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, Springboard, to look at other opportunities for professional development. And then, consider undergraduate research. I mentioned micro research earlier, but the Office of Undergraduate Research has micro research opportunities that are really great skill building experiences and that are paid. And so the Office of Undergraduate Research can connect you with faculty that are doing research and they need people on their teams, or you might try talking to faculty that you're in class with. They might also have some projects that they're working on that you might be able to join. So a couple of reminders, make sure you're starting early. The search can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months. I would say that's on an average year. And given that, it's still a tight job market. There's very low unemployment rate. There's a lot of competition for internships and full-time jobs. It can take a little bit longer than that. So the earlier you start, the better. Make sure that you're an active participant in the job search. So don't wait around and think that things are just going to happen. I actually met with a recent grad, maybe it was last week or the week before, and they admitted that they didn't do a whole lot while they were at Charlotte. They thought just having a degree would be enough, and unfortunately, it's just not enough right now in today's market. So you need to be involved. You need to be connecting. You need to be building that resume capital. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, just having a positive mindset and try not to give up. If you are feeling overwhelmed and things like that, you can certainly reach out to a career coach and we can kind of process your job search strategy, make an appointment with us, and if we need to connect you to additional resources for that as well. Okay, and so last slide before we get into Q&A, just making sure that everyone is aware of where our office is located and how you can connect with us. So we're in Atkins Annex, which is beside Atkins Library and the Center for Graduate Life and Learning. We have drop-ins Monday through Friday from 10 to 3, in person and virtually. You don't need an appointment for this. You can get immediate help. This is good for like 10 to 15-minute conversations. So if you have a need that fits with drop-ins, I recommend starting there. You can also schedule an appointment with a career coach and hire a Niner. And if you're looking for a tech data and analytics coach, as a reminder, you can meet with myself or Alona Ellis. And then do follow us on social media. Our handle is at Charlotte Career Center. We are pretty active on social and post a lot of content to kind of help you with getting aware of things that are going on in our office and some of the things that you should be thinking about, in that career cycle. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And really, if y'all have questions, now would be the time to put those in the chat. We have about 15 minutes maybe to answer any questions that you may have. You can put those in the chat. Happy to answer those. If you prefer to come off of mute, if you'll just raise your virtual hand, that way we don't have multiple people speaking at the same time. We can definitely answer questions that way. And while you're thinking of questions, I did just want to plug our Career Community Week that's happening next week. I will drop a link in the chat for you. So we do have our Tech Data and Analytics Career Community Week, the 23rd through the 27th. So this week is really dedicated to opportunities for employers to connect with you that are recruiting in the tech data and analytics space. So we have some career meetups with Duke Energy and Brightway Insurance. We have a data analytics career panel or job insider tips panel that's happening at the Dubois Center on the 24th from 4 to 5:15. And then we have Ally, FDM Group, and Civic Plus doing our professional in residence next week. And so that's an in-person opportunity where they're going to be giving, feedback on your resume or a cover letter. They can, answer any questions that you may have about opportunities with their organization. So those are great ways to connect with employers that are trying to hope to trying to hire Charlotte students. Oh, Maria, great. So Maria Garcia is an alum of Charlotte and works for Protivity, and it looks like they have some summer internship opportunities for tech consulting. So thank you for posting that, Maria. And if people are interested and want to connect, can they just look you up on LinkedIn? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can find me on
Oops.
LinkedIn.
Thanks, Maria. Appreciate it. Yeah. So if you're interested in tech consulting, Protivity is looks like they have some options, and then you can connect with Maria offline as well. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. See, if you hadn't come to this meetup, you wouldn't have known that. So great. Any questions? Not really seeing anything in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording and I'll just hang out here in the room for like maybe up to 5 more minutes. If you have questions, feel free to pop those in the chat.